Well, good afternoon. It's virtually 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. And as you can see, today I'm wearing my golf shirt, my Ernie Els golf shirt from playing at the Ernie Els Club in Dubai. Good gracious, how we miss those times. So we would be finished the Dubai World Cup and all those things by now and getting ready to get on with a wonderful winter season. Unfortunately, none of that is happening at this moment. And just to give you a bit of news over the week since I've been with you, the sad news was the passing of Alan Sutherland. And he was a wonderful guy, great rugby player. Just tell you a quick story about I did an interview with him for Winning Ways. We went up to the farm and we were chatting about, and I thought, well, let me ask him some of the funniest stories he ever had in rugby. And the story that I'll never forget was that he was playing in the Eastern Transvaal. And in the first 10 minutes on a rock hard field, they were blitzing each other flat out, giving each other a proper hiding. And what happened? The ref called the two captains, and he was the one captain. And the captain said, the ref said to the captains, "Now listen, you Oaks, you must stop this now. No more fighting. Otherwise, this game I'm going to have to start sending you guys off." And so the opposing captain said, "Yeah, okay, ref," and he bolted off to his players to tell them. And Suthers said to the ref, "Listen, ref, there's one guy I've still got to give it some bloody smack to." So the ref said, "Well, make it snappy, Suthers, and then get on with the game." And I thought that was typical of Suthers. I know that he did piston for Vake a terrible injury in a test match. And that was because Piston for Vake had actually stood on his face and cut him open in the first 10 minutes. And Alan Sutherland, you will be missed, and may he rest in peace. And our fondest wishes and condolences to Vieira and the whole family. They're wonderful racing people. We lost Anton Proctor and Alan Sutherland in the space of a couple of months. It's just too terrible. Well, let's tell it, the racing doesn't look like we're going very well at this stage. Certainly had some impassioned plea by V. Woodley and Hazel from the NHA, and they were doing their best to try and get on the news and do something about it. Racing is resuming in many countries. Hello, Nikki. Nice to have you with us again today. Racing's resuming in many countries in Europe. Germany, France, they're about to start racing. As we know, they've been racing elsewhere. And Paresh, nice to see you on the show. Any idea whereabouts of Peter and his dad, Chamberlain? Peter and his dad, Chamberlain? No idea about that. Anyway, let me just bring you up to date with some of the news. We're going to have Paul Lafferty joining us any moment. Gavel House online auction. Now, Gavel House has been hanging around for a long time. They sponsored a section on Winning Ways for a bit of time. They've really taken off, and this has been a big platform for them. They're doing an online auction for John Costa Claverflay stud with other studs in June, and that will be a very big innovation because they've just done an online auction in Australia. Frank, nice to have you on board with us. We'll have some questions to be answered just now when we're chatting to Paul. But just talking about that online auction, Gavel House did the Cornerstone Stud reduction sale in Australia. They've just done it last week, which was fantastic. A few things that you should know about. Snaith Racing conducted a poll of the greatest racehorse in the previous times, and Sea Cottage came out the winner from Horse Chestnut. It is quite interesting how Sea Cottage has always had that huge following and vibe about him because he was shot. This is probably Laf, and let me chat to him and see what he's got to say. Laf, how are you?
Hello, Jim.
Good. Can everyone hear Laf? Just asking all the question people out there. We've got 11 people online so far, Laf, including Derek. He's been kind enough to join us. So we can chat. Firstly, how's your health? How's those knees of yours? I know you had an operation just before lockdown.
Yeah, it's my knees are improving every day. I'm in the pool every day doing my exercise because we can't get physio in. And it's been a couple of months, and I'm moving well. They ache a bit at night because the medicine they gave me, the painkillers were opioids, so I didn't stay on them too long. But otherwise, all good, Jim.
Okay, and all the horses okay. I know you guys have been fantastic about keeping this virus out of Summerfeld, and Summerfeld is free. Apparently, they've tested all the grooms. I know Reinkersfontein's free as well.
Yeah, we've had a situation where roughly a year ago we had a wicked virus, nothing to do with the coronavirus, but we've been using viricides in our stables and treating our horses because it was a traumatic time for us. So we haven't stopped that procedure, and Tony Rivlin has put procedures in place that we monitor and contain and stay on top of this coronavirus. And I see countrywide it's been successful in the grooms and racing industry.
Okay, so the big question is, what do you guys make of it on the ground? I know you're keeping the horses going and everything's keeping rolling, but you closer to the people, you're a director of Gold Circle. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel? And nice to have Fap Win with us. He's from Australia. We got a lot of people from all over the world left listening to us as usual. It's like the old times.
Yes, it sounds just like the old times, James. I've trained for people all over the world and been very fortunate. And, you just about name one of the major countries, and I seem to have a guy's got a share in a horse with me. So, but getting back to your question with having our sort of finger on the pulse, as you know, I wear a few hats in the game. One, I'm chairman of the Trainers Association. And secondly, I'm a director of Gold Circle. We've had lots of board meetings using Microsoft, and 15 of us sit and discuss things, and also on the remuneration committee. So we've had a look at the finances, and we've had a look at how far we can go. We're very fortunate to have colleagues like Hollywood Bets, which have helped us out. We've currently just taken over Teletrack, used to be run by Pumalela. We are now managing it. Michelle Merrick's in control of it. I think Candice is looking at finances with Dean Suraj running it from Joburg, where it was always placed. So that's a positive step. But Gold Circle are currently very aware, if I can deal with them first, very aware of the situation and the urgent need to get back to racing. I think the trainers know it, the owners know it, every aspect of the game knows it, that we should be getting back to racing ASAP.
Okay, the first question, obviously you say Gold Circle is able to meet its commitments. Well, we know that Pumalela is probably not able to meet its commitments, but they owe you quite a considerable amount of money, don't they, in the millions?
Yes, it's a lot of money, that is has got to come down to us, some things that I say about Pumalela might not be exactly accurate. It changes from day to day. As we talk, they're having a major board meeting with them, and they obviously their finances are in disarray, if I can use that term. They've tried everything they can to try to get over. It looks like business rescue is going to be the answer, and not liquidation, which will make us the second in line creditor, I think, behind Investec. So we're in a situation that I think the business rescue plan will assist. There are moves afoot with the RA to try and get a new group in to run it, and they have been pursuing the likes of Mary Slack, who's always a great benefactor of the game, and a couple of other wealthy people in helping to put it together. And she, I believe, has issued conditions that we need a change at management level. And so I see that they will be able to race as well, Pumalela. They will have finances brought in, and they will be out there competing at a fairly decent level, and I hope the same thing applies to Cape Town. So we're all in it. It's a symbiotic relationship. We cannot have a weakness, whether it's Kenilworth Racing, Pumalela, or whatever name it might change to, and of course ourselves at Gold Circle. But we're all ready to race around the country, and James, the drop of a hat we can race. I'm speaking to my CEO, and he said within 24 hours, we can nominate, accept, and get our fields ready to race. So we're all sitting there. But I think Pumalela is the business rescue is going to make it so much easier for everyone.
Yeah, business rescue. You end up having a rescue practitioner come in and propose ways of rescuing the business. Whereas liquidation would mean that you would then close the business and you'd get paid out from the assets of the business. Now, that would not be ideal for the racing industry at all.
No, James, you're 100% right. We on our board meetings have discussed assets. We're in a situation where we have to discuss, I'm talking about gold circles, certain issues, certain ways of making money, whether we have to dispose of things. And Madam Chair was telling us that, there are people out there who have cash who want to buy now, and the going prices are roughly 25% below prices 3 months ago.
It's amazing. That's amazing. And I think it's affecting many, many people in many avenues. The biggest concern to me and probably most people out there is how it's going to affect a lot of the middle to lower range owners in this business, because we have had a stakes reduction, which I'm sure will come into effect immediately we start racing. We'll stick with that stakes reduction, I'm sure.
Yeah, James, I just think the biggest problem for me is not what you say, it is the owners in the middle. I think it's the horses. I think more importance has to be put on the horses. And the horses are in a situation where one euthanasia is too much.
Yeah.
And it is happening as we talk, James. I know of people who are putting down horses because the owners that you referred to are finding themselves cash-strapped. Now, I think most trainers, to keep afloat, are going to have to get a holiday from a lot of their bills. They're going to have to get some financing to keep themselves afloat if they want to keep their numbers up. A lot of the trainers own horses, so it's a very tricky situation. And the people who own shares, those middle range owners, it will be very tough for them. We're going into our second month now where we haven't been able to get a return for them. And they obviously have to look at it fiscally, James, and say, I can't feed my family. I'm not going to keep my share in my horse.
Yes.
So it's very tough. We're well aware of it. We really want to try and assist wherever we can. And it for my money, James, is a tragedy, because the bigger picture to me is simply put this way: that you have Phumelela going into business rescue. They, before casinos, were the second biggest taxpayers to the government. They put money in, the horse racing industry put millions into the government, yet EDCON and SAA have got 30 billion help from the government. What has racing got from the government? Big taxpayers like that. Who's giving Phumelela money now? Where the government's stepping up and saying, listen, you've given us all this money over the years. Where is it? It defies belief, James, that they haven't said, listen, let's try and assist racing. What they've thrown at SAA, and that has been completely mishandled. It's just, you work that, James, SAA and EDCON, I think it is, their job losses are 30,000. Yet they've been subsidised for years by the government. Ours immediate numbers is 60. With 750,000 other people linked to that. Never mind the horses. It's just a bad picture, James.
Yeah, just the trouble is that those are state-owned. Well, the one's a state-owned enterprise, and the other one is, I think, hugely involved in the pensions funds in South Africa, as far as all those things are concerned. And the trouble with horse racing is that, unfortunately, if you look at the history, we haven't been very good in our dealings with government. And
no, that's always been. You're 100% right, James. But we have paid our taxes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. But there's lots of little white businesses that have paid their taxes and been the major taxpayers that are going out of business with no help at all as well.
Yeah.
It's an incredibly difficult balancing act. The best thing that might come out of this is Gold Circle have shown themselves to be able to run a racing enterprise properly. And I've got to take my hats off to you guys, because the big brother was always going to take you over and eat you up and, swallow you whole. And that was going to be the end of it, and was going to be one company. And Gold Circle have really done extremely well under extremely trying times. And to be able to be in the position that you are is big kudos to you guys.
Yeah, I think our CEO has been outstanding, a very, very sharp man, and the board have supported him, and the board have disagreed with him and argued with him, and we found ourselves with a treasure chest because of the sale, going back to the sale of Clearwood and that type of money. But how long does that last? That money is all covered by the members, so any time you have to call together the members if you need that money to keep us going. So it's it's a tricky situation, but James, the talking about going back to racing, we're in a situation where we want to go back to racing, and it can be at the drop of the hat. If we get all the promotions we've done lately to get us back to racing, it's probably the biggest wave of support we've had for racing and as people. The interesting thing is that, James, as I say, it's a drop hat, we can go back. Now, Gold Circle have agreed to come in at 70% of the original stake, which is outstanding. They've taken the trimmings off the feature races. The July has gone from 4.5 million to 1.5 million. I'm talking about the Vodacom July. And every feature race has been trimmed to a degree so that we can balance up the fees for the races. We're in a situation where we have a slight edge over the other two operators in that it's our winter season. We've got these races. You know, when it moves off to Cape Town, they'll have these big races where they can cream the top, the money at the top, and Joburg. So it's just fallen right for Gold Circle in that aspect. But the planning has been very good, and as you say, we've managed to run it very well, and it's going to pay dividends.
Just a question on: is there any income stream from everything that's going on Teletrack every day? We have racing in many countries that are being screened live on Teletrack. We have some ridiculous other things that are happening there, but really, is the racing bringing in any money?
Yes, it is, James. You know, we've got, I'm talking from a Gold Circle perspective, I cannot speak on behalf of Pumalela and Kenilworth Racing. We have a situation where we have more than a skeleton staff of telephone operators for racing waiting there. And of course, then you have the people who are online who like to wager, especially with the race meetings on Saturday and Sunday morning when we're getting Group 1s out of Australia, out of Hong Kong, and the odd one out of Japan. So we're getting some very good racing in. And the CEO, Michelle Narak, told me that there's been an increase of people telephone betting. Now, suddenly, they want to bet, they want to gamble. I have owners who phone me up and say, do I know anything in Hong Kong over the weekend? You know, it's and people, we've seen it in the figures. We are getting small returns. Once you open up England and France, which is a non, you're going to find, James, that we'll get more money in. You know, that is just one of the things. But the bottom line here is, regardless of the gambling aspect, we've got to get all our horses back on the racecourse.
Well, as I said last week when I did this, I saw the figures from one of those tracks in California. There was a quarter horse track, and they were trebling their turnover, their betting turnovers, only through betting accounts, through telephone accounts. It's amazing.
Yes. People are getting involved. They get in there and they're putting their business. People have a penchant for gambling in Jones. It applies when there's no lotto, there's no casinos, there's no. It's a good chance. We can start racing to get a month or two, and we will get new people into the game. We will get more people gambling, and we will help turn it around. It's a long boat to turn around at the moment, though, James.
I'm sure that it's in good hands with you guys, and the great of you to come online and chat to us. And you know, you're obviously very proactive with your owners and keeping them informed. I see some beautiful videos and that. And there's some good messages out there. Sporting Post is always a good read. There's Turf Talk. John Freeman wrote a fantastic newsletter today. So, you know, just with all this stuff going on, it's great of you guys to keep us informed.
Yeah, James, it's a situation where people have to be proactive. There's a lot of passionate people out there. They want it to work. And James, it's a bit of a challenge of mine. I phoned up the major players in the industry. I phoned up Gaynor Rupert, had a long chat to her. And, you know, basically said, we need all the help we can. If you've got somebody who knows somebody, whatever, you got a billion reasons why you should be helping. I've got all the Mark de Kock, him and I speak every day. Tony Rivlin and I speak every day. And Michelle Narak and I speak every day. And I speak to a couple of prominent owners in Joburg who I train for. So I'm pretty up to speed, but I speak to Bloomberg in Cape Town. Bloomberg and I have long conversations about where we go, what we do. And I push this idea of not everybody likes racing, but everyone cares for animal welfare. People love animals. We have to push the animal welfare aspect of it. And then we got Mark de Kock, got all the Charles Pretoria, got Mollet to write that article. I got all the Michelle, got Andrew Harrison to write the article, Michael Clower to article. We got front page on the Mercury. And I'm TV pushing. I'm on the phone all the time. And if there's any way we can get this going, and we've really attacked the COVID Council from a different angles. And V has now done TV, radio, so as his teamwork. You got Hazel, who did a very good interview as well. That's out there from TV. It's all available. I get it. I post it to every connection I can. All my owners, all the trainers, and people who it applies to. And by keeping each other up to speed, we've seen that we are challenging them in every corner at the moment, James.
Well, Paul, congratulations to you. And I know you're putting a tremendous amount of effort under a lot of pain. And, you're doing a sterling job. And hopefully that we're able to race pretty soon.
Yeah, I have a gut feel, but I've had a gut feel for years, and invariably I'm wrong. We might get the green flag to race by the 15th.
That would be absolutely fantastic. We'll start with the Bundesliga.
Take a double. The favourite in the first to Mönchengladbach.
Yeah. Well, listen, be good, and thank you so much for joining us on this live feed. And it will be up there for anyone who missed it, so people will be able to listen to it at a later stage. And we can only hope and pray. That's all, and pray for the horses.
Thanks, James. Anytime.
Paul Lafferty joining us on the telephone from his stables there in Summerfeld, and it's very difficult, this whole thing. What can I say? I can only say that out of the ashes, and I've said this for quite some time, might rise the phoenix, and the phoenix might be good for us, because there look like there are a lot of people out there who really have the best interest in racing at heart, not there to make a buck out of it, there to actually do what the best that they can. And I really think that that these people are going to go forward with racing and make it into what it should be, because it should be the sport we all love, and there should be very few hiccups with it. It's properly run. We have the facilities, the race courses. Hello, Danny. Nice to have you on board again. And all those things are there. They're in place. This is giving us a chance to maybe spring bright new buds out of the tree. Are there any questions out there? Does anyone want to type me in a question which I think I can answer? Because obviously I'm quite au fait with what's going on out there, and have been involved with a number of these discussions with a number of people, and we get to hear and find out exactly what's going on. There's a tremendous bunch of people out there. Paresh, pity outside trainers who arrived here and to bear additional costs and the wait. Well, yeah, they've arrived in KwaZulu-Natal for the winter season. Big yards, I think the big yards, we don't really have to worry too much about them. It's they've got war chests. Don't worry, they're strong. It's the little guys and the middle of the road guys. I think the hardest hit bunch of trainers, having been a trainer myself, is going to be the middle of the road guy, the guy that's got 40, 50 horses. Nikki, I think they're going to be the ones that really, really are going to have a problem. Well, there you are, Nikki. Chat to Paul Lafferty. We need more people like him to go forward. Great to hear about animal welfare. So important. Bundesliga. Well, I know you're a Wimbledon supporter. I mean, you must be the only Wimbledon supporter left on this earth, except for I think they're gone. The Beatles. I think that you're the only Wimbledon supporter, Nikki. I don't know anyone in racing who supports Wimbledon apart from you. I do know that delinquent Jay Ramsden, he's a West Ham supporter. I think he's a blowing bubbles boy. And Grant Knowles, I know that he's a Newcastle supporter. We know Lafferty is a Tottenham Hotspur supporter with all those other poor fish. Look, they're a step behind us. I'm an Arsenal supporter, and they're a step behind us always. So whatever we're feeling, it's worse for Tottenham. And there are a lot of them out there that I know that Tottenham supporters. Ken Kruter, the recent chairman of the NHA, shame for all of you guys. I'm not sure about the rest. Just on this situation that we find ourselves in. The problem, as we all know now, is that the proposal was properly put by the NHA. And unfortunately, I think that the other proposal that went in was to open betting shops. And that certainly was a no-no. That was never going to run. And I think that was run alongside the casinos who want to obviously open their casinos and get themselves betting. There seems to be quite a lot of online gambling going on at the moment, not only on the horses, but on all types of betting games. I know that Interbet offer a huge variety of online betting games. They have poker and all types of things going on there. And then as I say, tomorrow we've got Australia, and we've got some good racing there. And then there's Hong Kong. Unfortunately, we don't get Japan. Lyle Hewittson's on his way back from Japan. That's the news hot off the press. He'll be here in the next day or two. I think he might have actually arrived here today, Lyle. So interesting having him back. Any questions out there that you guys would like me to answer? Would like to type in a question? All you've got to do is type in a question, and I'll see if I can answer it for you. But what else can we say? We can only live in hope. We're sitting here hoping that down the line it's going to pick up, and down the line the government is going to relax restrictions on cigarettes. I feel terribly sorry for cigarette smokers. I think this is the most disgraceful thing ever, and I'm not sure that there's more subterfuge than there is a reasonable logic. The opening of alcohol, well, we know that our Minister of Police does not like alcohol, and that's a big, big problem. Nikki says in the UK a few years ago, we improved links between the government and racing, who's now taking up the mantle for South African racing to make friends with the government. Well, Nikki, this is the whole point, is that we're going to have to find out of this new or new JV that is made between Phumelela as they were. I would think that there won't be much Phumelela left at the end of this. Kenilworth Racing and Gold Circle, you'd be able to put people in place who will be able to speak to government on the basis that we should be able to speak to them, because we are huge tax earners for them, not only through the supporters of racing or through the betting on racing, but through all the money that's generated through such type of things. Imagine the VAT they get out of horse sales. I mean, it is enormous, the figures that go into it. And the majority of people in horse racing are higher end earners or middle to high end earners, or people who really love the sport, but they're taxpayers. And once you have those type of people involved, all of them are putting their money into the fiscus. And as a result, what happens from here? Well, hopefully we will get those people involved and get people who will be able to make the right representation in the government for a better slice of the cake, for a better kickback. Remember, the race clubs used to have the government looked after them, or certainly the government of each provinces looked after them. Development funds, they had development funds. That was 20, 25 years ago when the race clubs became Phumelela. And the money was taken out of the development fund for the benefit of racing, supposedly. We know that didn't happen in a number of instances. There you go. Anything else, guys? Or I'm going to put it, putting all types of videos up on the show, the Winning Ways Show channel, including lots of old broadcasts and interviews we did. There's some very interesting ones coming up, and that should be fun. But thank you for joining me, and we wish you a very successful week, and stay safe, stay well, look after yourselves and look after your families. A terribly trying time. From me, James Goodman. Nikki, thank you for your contribution. You're always out there helping put together the show. And to Derek, we'll have it uploaded very, very soon. Let's go, Fapper. When racing does start back up, I'd like to see more social media promoting South African racing to the world. And I think you're absolutely right. And listen, this show promotes South African racing. There have been social media operations from Phumelela, which are racing in It's a Rush and all those type of things. None of them really worked. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, enjoy your weekend and stay safe.